Okay, these are work solutions to the worksheet given to you for homework. Okay, first one, we did do this one on the board, but I'll just go through it again. Find the value of the pronumerals giving reasons. We can see that we have parallel lines here, and that A is alternate with 61, so A equals 61 degrees, and we've got alternate angles on parallel lines. So you can write on parallel lines, or you can put the parallel symbol. Okay, and now once we know that A is 61, we can see that B and A form a straight line. So once we know that A is 61, we know that B plus 61 is 180 degrees. So now we've got the B plus 61 is 180 degrees, or B is 180 minus 61, which is 119 degrees, and the reason for that is angle sum of straight line. Okay, so you cannot find B directly from this 61 here. First you have to do your alternate angles, and then we've got that A and B lie on a straight line. Okay, now for question B, if we look at, we've got some parallel lines here, and we can see some co-interior angles. So we know that C plus 110 degrees is 180. So C is 180 minus 110, which is 70 degrees. And the reason for that is co-interior angles on parallel lines. So I've just put the parallel symbol there. So we know that C is 70. Now the only relationship between C and D, so we've done that. So now if I just look at C and D only, so I need to cover up anything else. Okay, I can see that that these two lines cross, and that C and D are vertically opposite angles. So that means that D is 70 degrees by vertically opposite angles. Okay, so you can't work out D from this 110 directly. Okay, so you have to do your C first, and then D is 70 by vertically opposite angles. Now, question C, you can do this several different ways. We can do alternate here to get B first if you want, or we could have done co-interior to get A, but I'm just going to do the alternate. So B is 115 degrees because they are alternate angles on parallel lines. So that's your Z angle, but it's an open Z. Now that you know what that is, you can see that B and A form a straight line. So we know that B is 115. So I could do A using straight line, but I can also do A using co-interior with the 115 here. So I'm going to use straight line. So A is 180 minus 115, which is 65 degrees. And I can use angle sum of straight line, or I could use co-interior angles if I'm doing it this way. So if I'm doing straight line, it would be that, but if I'm doing co-interior angles, see A plus 115 adds up to 180 as well, or I could use co-interior angles on parallel lines. So either one, okay? Okay, now the next one. Okay, so we've got three things we need to work out. So we can do B first. So I'm doing a backward Z. Remember, I've got parallel lines. So I've got, remember that's a zigzag, it's alternate. So B equals 60 degrees, and we've got alternate angles on parallel lines. Okay, you can also do a forward Z here for G. Okay, so we've got that these are alternate angles, and again these are parallel lines. So G equals 50 degrees. Again, the same reason, alternate angles, comma, parallel lines. And now we need M, and we can see that G, M, and B. So if I cover up the rest, I can see that G, M, and B all form a straight line, and I know that B is 60, and I know that G is, from what we just did, 50. So we know that M is 180 minus 60 minus 50, which is 70 degrees, and that is by angle sum of straight line. Okay, with the next one, again, you have parallel lines, or you could do this many different ways. I'm going to do my zigzag first. You can do that. You can do this 2 or 3 ways. We've got some parallel lines there. So we can do zigzag or alternate angles. So that means that Q is 80 by alternate angles. So Q is 80 degrees, putting your full reason, alternate angles, parallel lines. And to work out P, I don't have to do co-interior. I could say that P and Q are co-interior, so it would be 110, but I could also just cover this up and use this straight line here. I know that's 80, so P is 100 because it's 180 minus 80. So P is 180 minus 80, which is 100 degrees. And the reason for this is angle sum of straight line, or you could use supplementary angles. Okay. All right, now for the next one. You cannot work out Y directly from this. So you cannot do that. So what I could do is I could do, I'm going to put in another letter. So when this happens, you cannot go straight from there to here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to call this angle here X. Okay, so you're allowed to do that. You're allowed to make up new pronumerals. So I'm going to say X equals 89 degrees. If you cover the rest of this up, you can see that that's by vertically opposite angles. Now I know that X is 89. I've got my 2 intersections, and I can see that this angle and this angle are in the same position, or I've got my F angles, which are corresponding. So here's my F. Okay, so this angle and this one are corresponding. So I can say that Y is also 89 degrees by corresponding angles on parallel lines. And I could also say that X equals Y equals 89. So I'm trying to say that this Y equals this one, that Y equals X, which is 89. So that's corresponding angles. So you can't go from this one out here all the way down to that. Okay, you have to go vertically opposite first and then corresponding. Now other people may have done the following. They could have gone corresponding first, so that 89 is also down here. That's the same position, corresponding, and then vertically opposite. So you need those two, and it could have been in the opposite order. Okay, let's look at the next one. So before we worry about Y and W, I can see that I've got definitely a straight line. So X is 180 minus 72, which is 108 degrees by angle sum of straight line. Okay, so we've got that's 108. Now you're looking for, you've got some parallel lines, and we've got 3 of them, and that's okay. So I'm going to look at Y. Now I can draw a backward F, and this is the same as this. Okay, so I've got a backward F, and when you do those backward Fs or Fs, it's those angles in there that need to be the same. Okay, or that are the corresponding ones. So I can now say that Y equals X, which is 108 degrees. So this is the same as that one, which happens to be 108, and that was corresponding angles on parallel lines. Now this next one you've just got to be very careful with. Okay, oh actually no, you could do that. Now I can do a Z down here. I'm going to do it in red. Or you could have done a co-interior all the way from there, ignored the middle parallel line and gone co-interior here, but I think it's easier to do Z. So here I've got a backward open Z between the Y and the W. So I've got that W equals Y, which is, we know that Y is 108, and that was alternate angles on parallel lines. Okay, so I've gone corresponding there, those two, and then I've done a backward Z open backward Z down there. The other thing I could have done is to do co-interior here directly between the 72 and the W. Or I could have said that W plus 72 is 180. Co-interior angles on parallel lines. So therefore W is 108. So you can ignore that middle parallel line and just say that W plus 72 is 180. So there's a few different ways to work out W. Okay. Now with these next two types, there is a special method that you need to use. All you need to do is extend the middle line, the middle parallel line. So what we've got here is that this A is the whole thing, but we break it up and we can do as a Z or an alternate here. Remember, A is the whole thing. So what I'm going to do, remember A is the whole angle. I only want this one. I'm going to call this one B and this little one C. So the little one is B, this other little one is C. So I'm going to go that B is 55 degrees. So B is just from there to there, like from there to there. And we've got alternate angles on parallel lines. Then I'm going to do the same thing over this side for C. So that equals that. So I've got that C is 45 degrees. Again, alternate angles, parallel lines. And we know that A is the sum of B plus C, which is 55 plus 45, sorry about that, which is 100 degrees. Okay, so that's what you have to do where you've got angles like this. So you just extend this line. So extend this line. So again, we're going to, with this one, there's no extension, but we draw in. So what we do is draw a third parallel line in. So draw this line parallel to the other two lines through there. So what we can do here, so draw a third parallel line through where N is, through that N degrees. Okay, so what we've got this time is not alternate, but we've got this one here. I might call this X, and this other angle over here on the other side, I'm going to call it Y. So my N that I originally had there is X plus Y. So I'm going to work out X and Y separately. So here we've drawn in this third parallel line through N. Remember, N was the whole thing. I've called this part X and this part Y. So I can do co-interior angles. So X plus 60 is 180. So X is 180 minus 60, which is 120. So this bit here is 120. Similarly, I've got co-interior angles here because I've got two parallel lines. So Y plus 50 is 180. So Y is 180 minus 50, which is 130. So that Y bit is 130. So now we know that N, which is the whole thing, is made up of X plus Y. X is 120 and Y is 130. So N is 250 degrees. Okay, now for the last question. So with these types, you have to split the angle and make it parallel. Continue, draw in a parallel line, draw in a line parallel to the other two lines, or in this case, continue the parallel line. Now for the last one, we've got parallel lines, so it's a good idea to outline them. And once you do that, you'll see what you've got. So this and this makes an F angle, which are corresponding angles. They're in the same position. So what we can see is that this whole thing, 40 plus Y, the 40 plus the Y, this whole thing is equal to 105. So Y is 105 minus 40, which is 65 degrees. And the reason for that is corresponding, sorry. So you've got corresponding angles on parallel lines is the reason. Okay. So if you're asked to do something like this, giving reasons, and sometimes the angles will be cut through, So you're just looking for F, Z, or C. And in this case, we've got F, which is corresponding angles. Okay.